there, this is RomWills coming back at you with yet another video. Where you live affects how your looks are perceived. Now this is very important. And I thought about this because I saw one of my supporters on Patreon. Actually, he sent me this video of this comedian, a woman comedian. And it was funny what she was talking about at first. She said, now, she was a thick young lady. She was a thick young lady. And I remember what she said. She said, if she's in LA, she's a fat bitch. And that's what she said, she's a fat bitch. But if she's in Greenville, South Carolina, men are trying to put a ring on her finger. And I was like, I could see that. I could see that. Because she didn't have a big stomach, but she was big. She had big breastises and big old butt. She was bigger than usual. And I was thinking about that because remember in the previous sit-down episode, I was talking about the difference between DC men being seen as more suave, but Baltimore guys seen as more rough. And you could actually tell in the physical appearance. And if you really think about it, that it really comes down to the cities again. And remember, there's a lot of guys, especially in these spaces, always talking about looks. But see, there's no such thing as objective looks. You can't go every place. Like you get some guys talking about Chad and Tyrone. And even the whole thing with Tyrone, because I remember somebody was saying, oh, Tyrone is that rough looking dude with the tattoos. But somebody else, I remember a couple other people saying, no, Tyrone is that guy who looks like a brown white guy. And even the looks, even the Chad looks, think about it. Yeah, that look is good for an upper middle class background, but he wouldn't go over well in a trailer park. He would not go over well in a poor area. He had to have a rougher look to him, because you get a lot of guys who act like, oh yeah, those model looking guys, they can go anywhere. No, they couldn't. If they're in a rougher area, they have to look rough. Where you live is how your looks are going to be perceived. Where you live, what region of the country, what region of the world, what social class, because remember, where you live, it depends on your social class. And remember, I've talked about that this week. And even when I was talking about a woman's style and her social class, well, men have a visual shorthand too. So you might look a certain way, but then if you're in certain neighborhoods, you in danger of being robbed. You have to look a bit rougher. You have to look a bit rougher. And it depends. You might not look like you live in some, you can look like all clean cut, but if you're in certain neighborhoods, they might question your sexuality. Meanwhile, you need to look rougher. At the same time, if you're looking rough, but you're in an upper middle class area, you might not get the same attention, because men have a visual shorthand too. And women, shoot, they into that more than anybody else. Women are into that more than anybody else. And so even with your looks, there's some areas you live in, oh, you might have to have those tats. Yeah, some other areas you live in, if you have those tats, you might have to figure out a way to hide them. There's certain haircuts. If you in certain areas and your hair is wild or whatever, you might not be able to get along. But then in other areas, the women going crazy. You have to really take that in consideration. Where you live, where your body build too. Because yeah, you got a lot of guys talking about, oh yeah, you got to be all lean, and yeah, that might work well in an upper middle class environment where everybody's working out, where there's a bunch of gyms. But I've known and been through some areas where the dudes got to have some meat on them. The dudes got to have some meat on them. Indeed, and that's not just in this particular country. If you in certain so-called third world countries, you got some meat on you, the women going crazy. The women going crazy because you looking like you can eat. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. It depends. It depends on where you at. Despite what some people think, there's nothing universal. Because anybody who thinks that, they haven't traveled. They haven't been through some places. Like, let's use this lean versus big thing. That's why I say whenever I talk about body game, I say you got to find what works best for you. But it's also dependent on your environment. I've known a lot of guys who had multiple children, multiple baby mamas getting over, but they living in more working class environments. In fact, they look more working class. They look more working class to poor environments. They look like they working for a living. Meanwhile, if they in a more upper class environment, they look more like they hitting like a high-end gym or something. Yeah, they can probably get away with being a bit leaner. It really depends. Also, when you're talking about looks, you're talking about your haircut. You can tell a lot about somebody just from their haircut. Just from their haircut. Where they live, what type of environment they're in. Because you don't want to be in like a rough area and you have some $200 haircut. You like, when I say rough area, I mean a poor area. You probably need to look as rough as the rest of them. So you always got to think about that. So it really does depend on where you live, your environment, what city you're in. That's why I say sometimes you might be in the wrong city. You might have to move. You might have to change your environment. It's very important. It's very important. Like getting back to that woman. Now I'm using the woman for example because it was a great example. When I looked at it, I said, yeah, if she was in some southern place, some southern city, oh yeah, they'd be putting a ring on her finger. But if she was in a place like LA, oh yeah, she's just a fat bitch there. And she knew it, she knew it, but because even the guy who sent me the clip, he said, yeah, she got that nice old butt dunk on her. I was like, okay, that's telling me about him. And it depends. It depends on where you at. And it's like that with men. That's why I say you get some places, yeah, you can be a big old dude, big brawling dude. Some other places you might need to be leaner. You might have to like let the barber bless you a certain way. Certain areas, even certain subcultures. You like I'm familiar with some subcultures. If you're a brother, you need to let those locks grow out. But then if you're in some other areas, oh yeah, you gotta have it cut. You gotta have it low like mine if you wanna have it. So you gotta be changing up. You really gotta understand where you at. Pay attention. There's nothing universal. Let's get off of that, or even using that word objective. It depends on where you at and what's gonna get over, all right? So anyway, that's all I have for right now. And I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.